Welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, the show for disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries who know they're here to change the damn world. I'm Kylie Patchett, your voice and visibility catalyst, and here we dive into unapologetic truth, magnetic messaging, and visibility that actually feels good in your body, your bones, and your business. We share the stories of the out-of-the-box, neuro-sparkly, creative, witchy wild ones rewriting how we live, love, learn, and lead. This isn't about being louder. It's about being rooted, resonant, and regulated so you can be real, raw, and ready to roar. If you're done contorting yourself to fit the mold and you're ready to own your voice, your power, and your place in the revolution, welcome home. Let's dive in. Friends, welcome back to the podcast. This is a solo episode all around the concept of embodying your genius. So inside of our Raw Revolution group at the moment, we are working through implementation around understanding what genius is, owning your genius, and then being able to capture and communicate the transformation that you offer your clients. Now, there's a few things that can happen when we start talking about genius. First of all, at the very, very surface, some people do not even accept the concept that they have a genius, right? Like, what does the word genius mean to you? Does it feel like something that you can own? Yep, that I've got natural talents. I've got things that I can bring to the world that maybe other people can't. I own them. Or is it something that's like, oh, I don't have anything that special inside of me? Or is there any sort of like arrogance that comes up, or don't shine too bright, or any of that? So that's the first kind of question to you. Are you even surrendered to the concept of you actually having a genius zone? Now, you can argue until you're blue in the face. I'm never, ever, ever trying to let you get away with not owning your genius. Because here's the thing. There is literally not one other copy of you in the whole entire planet. Not before this time, not in the future. And you are here for a reason. You are a miracle just by being here. Now, if I go back to my genetics training, like I remember when I first started coaching, even leadership coaching, like way back, like in the 90s, far out. Oh, that feels like a long time ago. And, people would be working around these wounds of feeling unworthy or not good enough or whatever. And they would be saying these words to me, and I'm just like, I can't sign up for the idea that you're not special, because from a genetic perspective, I know there's like, what is there, 8 billion people in the world now, or maybe we're up to 9, I don't know. I think it's 8. So there's 8 billion of us. But the thing is, even for us to actually be conceived, so many magical cellular and genetic processes have to happen to even allow us to be conceived, let alone born, let alone grow to the age that we are in the current time and space continuum. And you could argue that there's multiple versions of us, but that is not the purpose of this chat. So to me, just by being born, you're a miracle already. Like, you're qualified to be a miracle. And I will say that the genius that comes with you is so coded in your energetics, in your flow, your preferences, your value system. Just like from a cellular perspective, like I have brown curly hair, I have brown eyes. That's all coded in my DNA, right? I inherited it from my genetic lineage. Now, I don't know whether I would say that genius is always inherited. I think maybe sometimes there's like, I don't know, like a new thread in a family system that brings something completely unique to that line. And, there's a lot of us that think about us being black sheep, and maybe that's what that's about, right? Like breaking patterns, breaking paradigms, etc. So you do have a genius, first of all. The miracle is you. That's my second point. Third thing is, can you actually speak about what your genius is? And I wanted to look at this through the lens of something that a client said to me this week. And it's such a beautiful thing to hear, because I'm like, I feel like I can just go tick, my job is done. Pretty much all of my coaching can be captured into one very emphatically put sentence. You are here to be you, nothing else. Full stop. I know that's very simplified, but when we go out into the marketplace and we're trying to be anything but what is our natural energetics and our natural genius, people can feel dissonance. So something that this client said was, you know what the best thing about this work is? That she's worked with me through Potent, my first mastermind. Now she's in Raw Revolution, which is a second iteration of that space. And so we've known each other, geez, it'd be almost a year. And she said, you know, the best thing about this is that I am literally just doing what I love doing and stripping all the rest of it out. And so there's this parallel process of realizing how you've been conditioned by life, by family, by relationships, by whatever, like the collective consciousness beliefs as well. And often, you know, my clients are both neurosparkly and also, like me, very often in the midlife transition, right? And we talk a lot in my spaces about the fact that this midlife transition, perimenopause to menopause, is very much about, okay, the veil of accommodation is falling as my estrogen is dropping. And I'm starting to look around my life and be like, what the actual fuck? Some of the things I've been putting up with are not okay. Some of the ways that I've been behaving or conditioned to behave are not sustainable. I will not do that to myself. I will not abandon myself at the feet of doing the right thing or playing the role that I've been cast into in my family. So there's this personal shedding of skins that's happening, but also at the kind of side by side and always interlinked, right? Is this shedding of skins in the business sense. So this particular client shared that, you know, she'd put out this big proposal. She works in corporate. She's, you know, also does her own business doing kind of similar work, but through a much more powerful, much more energy alchemy way of doing the work that she does, right? So much less up here and much less, for those of you not watching the video, much less in the brain and much more down here in the body, in embodiment, in actual integration, not just information, right? And so she put out this big proposal and she, you know, was working through all the levels and layers of like, I should do this and I should do that because that's the way it's always done. And I'm kept on saying to her, do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? You are not inside of a corporation that sets your rules. You are creating your own business. Therefore, you get to choose the rules of your reality. So if you can say to me all these things you want to add into the proposal because that's the usual way, the done way, and I'm using my inverted commas very strongly, the done way, and it feels good for you and it feels like it's aligned to your natural genius zone and it feels like something that's juicy for you, great, put it in. But anything that's in there at the moment that is not aligned to your natural genius zone, I'm going to give you a open invitation to ditch it. Because here's the thing. We are at the tipping point of opening new paradigms, right? And yes, maybe corporate might be kind of slower than entrepreneurship in some ways, maybe not others. Been a while since I've been there, so I can't really judge anything based on my personal lived experience. But we're at this pendulum point where so many of our systems and ways of being are breaking. Right? That requires us paradigm shifters to actually not just buy into the rules of we've always done it this way, therefore we always have to do it this way. Because all we're doing is creating more of the old. We are here to be future humans and create new pathways. So if you are trying to do it the done way, even if you are interacting with a corporate environment, I can guarantee you that you are watering down your genius. Because every time you put a layer of something in there that costs you like dissonance, muddying in the water, not being in your genius zone, feeling like it's going to be a slog or that it's work that you're actually not really good at, if you're honest. Like this particular client, like she's like, oh, every time someone asks me to do a slide deck, I want to like stab myself repeatedly in the eye. And I said, don't do it. I mean, obviously, if you're in corporate, you know, there's standards that maybe you need to, you know, play the game of. But I would always challenge you, if you're only doing it because you think that you should include it, ask yourself, is it actually aligned to your natural genius? Because here's the thing. Being clear with the transformation you offer when you are in your genius zone, when you are just doing the work that is easy, that is in flow, that lights you up, that is your specific flavor of what you're meant to bring to the collective, everything else gets easier. And that ease and that resonance with what you're here to do, or I'm kind of seeing this like really clean, clear channel of this beautiful, bright energy, right? It's just like, I am here and I am doing what I'm meant to do. This is my purpose work. I am in my zone. Anything outside of that, I'm going to flick away, right? Full permission to do that. Flick, 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 flick. That's kind of what perimenopause has felt like to me. Like, no, yes, no, yes. Massive, big sorting table, right? So when you do that, you clear out your field of any of this muddiness of grind work or having to do it a particular way work, or just because I can doesn't mean I should work. That's always a challenge for me as a recovering overpreneur. And then your work becomes so much more potent. Potent. You can just turn up doing what you naturally do, and people are transforming just by being in your field, in that resonance, in that magnetism. It's easier for you, but it's also so much more powerful for your clients. Here's the other thing that I will say about Genius Zone. If you are, so that, the example with my client was very much about like preparing something for a corporate client. And so it felt like there was done way rules, right? But we can do this to ourselves in our own businesses. So I'm guessing that if you're an entrepreneur, you also have a very high value on freedom, contribution, creating income from doing what you love, having time flexibility, maybe location flexibility, whatever it is, right? But so often, myself included, as a recovering overpreneur, she keeps on popping up. She's popped up this week, that overpreneur. For all of us, though, we can create these I have to do it that way rules of reality in our own businesses. So we can be crafting in a way that is, or like crafting, creating offers, doing masterminds, whatever it is, in a way that is not aligned to our natural energy and flow. And that means there is dissonance. It's pulling us away from our genius zone. So it's costing us magnetism. It's costing us ease. It's costing us cash flow. It's costing us satisfaction. Like, do you not want to finish your work week or work day and be like, yeah, that I feel like, I got somewhere. And, it depends on your signature, how that would feel as well. But for me, when I've done what I feel like is like a good day's work, like working on the stuff that really juices me up, I feel really calm and peaceful. Like I'm ready to like curl up with a book or go for a walk or get into my garden or whatever. There's that sense of peacefulness inside of me. So in your own business, my invitation is to do a little Genius Zone stock take. First of all, how do you feel about having a genius? Second of all, what is your genius? And don't be fooled. Your genius is often the thing that comes so naturally to you that you don't put any value on it. And then someone else is like, wish I could do that. She just makes it look so easy. That's your genius zone, right? So just because it becomes easy does not mean it's not a genius. In fact, I think that's one of the criteria. So what is your genius and how can you capture and communicate that to clients? What are you actually gifting them or selling them? And then the other thing is, let's do an audit of your business. And just like, if you had to give me a figure between 0, I'm not in my genius at all, and 10, I am always in my genius, which I think is also unachievable, right? There's times in business where you're not in a genius zone because you've got something that you haven't outsourced yet that you've just got to get done, right? Admin stuff or billing stuff or whatever. But if you gave me a 0 to 10, what would your answer be right now in terms of how often you're in your genius zone? And if I said to you, the higher you let that number get, the more you did the sorting table and got rid of anything that you were doing because you thought you should. Or another example of this, and especially for overpreneurs, is shoving extra stuff into programs. This is something that I do all the time. I need to go to Overstuffers Anonymous, because asking your clients to drink out of a fire hose is not effective. It's also quite disrespectful. So if you are doing that, how can you strip out all that extra stuff that maybe is driven by this need to provide something really worthwhile or really valuable, but you are mixing up volume with transformation. Volume of stuff does not equate to value. Doing work that you think you should, but is not your genius zone, does not create value. And it also doesn't offer transformation. And it also doesn't offer a sustainable, soul-fueled business. Not long term. So 0 to 10. And if you were to imagine, like we are in the middle of spring at the moment in Australia, mind you, it's been like high summer here, 38 degrees the other day. Oh, gross. Anyway, springtime always makes me, it's a very match and natural detox season for me. I like to kind of clean my space out and make sure that I'm not a big collector of stuff, but still over the year, things can how do all those extra sheets get in the linen closet? Where do they come from? So clearing out your business before the start of a new year, if you feel like you're in that season, I know for the flip side of the world, you're in fall, so you may not be feeling called to kind of do any clean out, but at the very least, take an energetic audit of how many or how much time, 0 to 10, if you had to give me a figure, are you in your genius zone? Other thing I have to share with you, this is like a sneak peek because I haven't done anything about it, but I have just decided that I've signed up to do a human design certification through Annalena Fuchs, who was on the podcast last week and the week before. I really love Annalena's style of teaching. And although I've done 2 human design chart reading courses, mostly self-study, I feel like there's another layer of embodiment that I want to stretch into. And there's another layer of using human design as an intuitive coaching modality that just gets added to my bag of I like to think of my bag of tricks in coaching as like a Mary Poppins kind of style of thing. It's like, open it up. Oh, what do we need in there? Pull that thing out. So yeah, I just started that a couple of weeks ago. And so I know myself that I learn by doing. I'm very, very kinesthetic, like I've got to get into it to do, right? So I have been running voice and visibility specific human design charts and readings, audio readings for my clients inside of Revolution this week. And the more I do, the more I'm like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. Because inside of this beautiful snapshot of when you were born, and go back to the last 2 episodes if you want a discussion between, I personally resonate far more with my true sidereal chart, which is actually the constellations in the sky when I was born, not the assigned modern astrology signs or constellations. But I just am fascinated by the fact that human design gives us another lens. And I really want to hear anyone who is getting into human design or has been in human design, if you're using it as another box to shove yourself in or limit yourself or give you right way and wrong way rules, you've missed the point. Like so many different other modalities, human design is it's a science of individuation, right? Like I only just read that the other day and I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense to me because I'm obsessed with the individuation genetically, individual to individual. So human design just gives us another way of saying, you know what? There is so many variables in this human experience, so many variables, that each of us is like coded with a specific energetic frequency that actually gives us like a little, like if you're hearing me say, what's your genius, and you have literally no idea, oh my God, let's look at your chart, because the amazing thing is there's so much there to be uncovered to give you little breadcrumbs towards things that you can kind of try on for size and feel them through for resonance in your own lived experience and body, not just take it as a rule, so that you can start uncovering these things. Because sometimes our conditioning is so strong around not shining too bright or not being arrogant or not saying you're good at something or whatever conditioning that you received, it can be hard to kind of uncover like what it is. And particularly if you're new to entrepreneurship, because there's so many things that you've got to figure out when you're new to entrepreneurship that sometimes it's like, oh my God, I need to know this natural genius thing too. I don't know. So if you feel like that at all, keep your eyeballs peeled, because I will be opening up a limited amount of readings with me through the lens of voice and visibility. So very specifically around genius, capturing, communicating your work in the world and the transformation that you offer. Also, the trajectory of your life storyline and specific gates that can really give you an understanding of how, like, your soulmate clients, how to speak to them, how to market in a way that feels easy for you. I will be doing, I don't know how many yet, but I think I'm probably going to just do them at half price. They're going to be very affordable, so keep your eyeballs peeled. And if you're listening to this a lot later than 29th of October when I'm recording it, you might like to just come back to the show notes because we might put a link in there, respectively. I'm really excited for this time that we find ourselves in when we're on the cusp of really big paradigm shifts. And I just want to say to you, if you've been drawn to entrepreneurship or having your own business or the next evolution of your business at the moment, it's not for nothing. We're all being called to rise and evolve and lead revolutions right now because the time is now. So if you are out there shining your beautiful genius light into the world, I salute you. May you be well. May you own your magnificence and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If this episode lit a fire in your body, in your business, deep down in your bones, please take a moment to drop a rating and review so more rebels just like you can find us. And don't keep this goodness to yourself. Share it with your disruptive rebel and revolutionary friends who are ready to roar right alongside of you. Until next time, stay wild, stay unapologetic, and stay fucking free.